If you want to understand why the same health problems keep returning to your body year after year, do not search the pharmacy shelf. Do not look to the supplement aisle. Look instead to the mountain teas that healers in Sichuan province have used for generations, preparations that help the body clear parasites, strengthen the heart, restore the liver, and bring back the kind of deep sleep that rebuilding your health truly requires. Welcome, my friend. What you are about to hear could improve the quality of every morning you wake to and every night that follows. Your doctor has likely never mentioned these plants, and the reason is a simple one. They cannot be patented or prescribed. In appointments that last 7 minutes or less, there is no room in that conversation for the old wisdom. But that wisdom is real. It has kept mountain communities free from the very suffering many of you carry today, and it is waiting for you now. My name is Jan Chen. For over 50 years, I have practiced the healing arts of traditional Chinese medicine, beginning at the age of 14 under my grandfather in the mountains of Sichuan province, where my family has tended to the sick across many generations. Patients travel from around the world to our small mountain village, and I receive each one with gratitude. My grandfather used to kneel beside me in the garden when I was still a young boy and say to me, "The garden cannot bloom if the soil beneath it is sick." He was speaking of the body, he was speaking of the belly. In our tradition, all imbalance traces back to that inner terrain. The belly regulates immunity, inflammation, the steadiness of our hormones, and the quality of our sleep. Care for that soil first, and every other thing you do for your health carries further and lands more deeply. My mother prepared mountain tea every morning throughout her life. Her mother did the same, and her mother's mother before her. For 7 generations in our village, these preparations have been as natural as the water from the mountain spring, simply part of the care one gives a living body. In all those generations, I have watched the same quiet patterns hold. Hearts that carry well into old age, livers that work without complaint, bodies that rest deeply and rise each morning with what the old masters simply called readiness. The researchers who have now come to our region are finding what the mountain has always known. In a moment, I will share 5 teas with you. One of them will surprise you, because 9 out of 10 people who hear about its primary use believe they already understand its purpose, and they are mistaken. The order matters here. Each tea builds on what came before it. Stay until we reach number 1, which the old mountain healers called the foundation of all other healing, and I have saved for last. Before we begin, my friend, leave a comment below. Tell me your age. Tell me which condition from today's title has been troubling you the longest, whether it is sleep, the heart, the liver, or something you suspect may be living inside you without invitation. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers shape every video I make. Here is what I am going to walk you through today. The tea that addresses what most people dismiss as ordinary digestive discomfort, but which carries a far deeper purpose. The red root preparation that supports the heart's ability to move blood through aging vessels. The gentle cooling flower tea that helps the liver clear what the body has been holding too long. The ancient night preparation that restores the conditions in which natural sleep becomes possible again. And at number 1, the master pairing that supports the foundational vitality every other healing practice depends upon. One small favor before we continue. If you are watching this and have not yet subscribed, please take 2 seconds and do that now. Many people who have followed this channel for months tell me they had never realized they were not subscribed. It is free, and every subscription helps me reach more people your age who need this information and do not know where to find it. Number 5. Artemisia leaf tea, called Aye in our tradition. In the Western world, most people who hear this name dismiss it as a simple bitter stomach remedy with no particular significance. But artemisinin, the active compound in this leaf, interacts specifically with the iron-rich cellular environment where parasitic organisms establish themselves in the gut. Picture a precise, contained heat that clears only the spaces where uninvited organisms have made their home, leaving the surrounding garden undisturbed. After 60, the stomach produces roughly 30 to 40% less hydrochloric acid than it did in younger years, and movement through the gut slows considerably. Together, these changes create exactly the terrain that parasites prefer. 3 generations of elders in our village have used this tea regularly, without the persistent bloating, unexplained fatigue, and mental fog that many people outside the mountain communities have come to accept as simply part of growing older. Prepare it by steeping 1 small handful of dried artemisia leaves in water just below a boil for 12 minutes. Take 1 cup 3 mornings in a row, then rest for 4 days before repeating. If you have reason to suspect a serious infection, please speak with your doctor before proceeding, as some situations require direct clinical evaluation alongside any herbal support. Pair the cup with a slice of fresh ginger root steeped alongside, which warms the circulation and helps move what the artemisia has loosened through the body more effectively. Number 4 is where we address something that quietly troubles even more of us after 60. Number 4. Dan Shen tea, the root of red sage. Most people in the Western world have never encountered this plant, and that is a considerable gap in what is available to them. In our tradition, we speak of stagnant blood, the blood that moves through vessels the way water moves through a garden hose that has begun to narrow from within. Dan Shen root contains compounds called tanshinones that encourage blood to move with greater freedom and support the natural flexibility of vessel walls. After 60, that flexibility decreases noticeably, and by 70, many of my patients show a significant reduction in the resilience their vessels once had. 3 generations of mountain healers in our practice have watched Dan Shen address this tendency, patient by patient, season by season. Simmer 1 teaspoon of dried Dan Shen root in 2 cups of water for 20 minutes. Take 1 cup in the mid-morning, not on an empty stomach. Dorothy was 71 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, when she came to sit with me. For 2 years, she had experienced cold hands throughout the day, and a heaviness in her chest that had gone unaddressed. What had been overlooked was the degree to which her blood was moving slowly through cooling, narrowing channels. After 6 weeks of daily Dan Shen tea, her hands were consistently warm, and the heaviness in her chest had eased by roughly 60%. Dan Shen, she told me. I forgot what April felt like in my own hands. If you take blood-thinning medication, please speak with your doctor before beginning Dan Shen, as these two work on overlapping pathways. Pair this tea with a small bowl of warm oats each morning, which gives the heart the kind of steady, gentle fuel it needs to work without strain. Now, before we continue to number 3, I want to say something that matters for every one of the teas I am sharing with you today. After 60, the gut loses whole families of beneficial bacteria, and the diversity of that inner garden falls in ways I have watched across generations of patients. The old ones taught that you cannot plant seeds in stone. They meant that the probiotic organisms the body needs cannot establish themselves without 2 companions. The probiotic fiber that forms the soil in which they can take root and grow, and the postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds the bacteria produce when they are healthy and properly fed. Without all 3 working together, the inner garden remains depleted, regardless of how many preparations you drink. I have watched this principle hold true across 50 years of practice in this mountain village. I want to pause here for a moment, because my patients ask regularly what I personally use to support this inner foundation. I have been recommending BoochBod for some time now. It is a gummy, not a pill, which matters for those of us who have grown weary of capsules at this stage of life. It contains lactospore as its probiotic strain, and postbiotics LM1004 as its postbiotic compound, alongside prebiotic fiber, slippery elm, and dandelion root. plants that mountain healers in our tradition have gathered and dried for generations. Over 30,000 people are already using it, and I find consistently that the teas I recommend land more deeply when the terrain underneath them is properly supported. The description link below will take you there. And speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Number 3. Chrysanthemum flower tea, called juhua in our tradition. Many people think of chrysanthemum as a decorative flower with no healing significance, which leads them to overlook one of the most useful preparations available to the liver. When the liver is working under sustained strain, patterns of heat develop throughout the body, tired or reddened eyes in the morning, irritability that rises at small things, headaches that settle behind the eyes, and a restless internal warmth that wakes a person at 2 or 3 in the morning without a clear reason. After 60, the liver's clearance function slows by roughly 30% compared to younger years, and the body accumulates metabolic burdens faster than the organ can process and release them. 3 generations of grandmothers in our mountain community have taken this tea each afternoon without the liver-related complaints that many people in later life come to accept as ordinary. Steep 5 dried chrysanthemum flowers in water just below a boil for 8 minutes and drink this in the late afternoon. Pair it with a small handful of dried goji berries steeped alongside, which in our tradition nourish the liver blood and ease the organ's filtering work. Stay with me through number 2, because the preparation I am about to share is one the mountain healers valued above almost all others for the aging body's struggle with rest. Number 2. Suan Zhao Ren, the jujube seed for sleep. In Chinese medicine, sleep is not a mechanical process that can be forced. It is a descending the mind, which we call the Shen, must find its way down each evening into the still center of the body, into what we call heart yin, the quiet cooling moisture that is the Shen's home. When heart yin runs low, and in most of my patients, this begins noticeably around age 55. The Shen floats above sleep without descending into it. The person lies exhausted, and the mind continues to move. By the middle 60s, roughly 40% of the patients who come to sit with me in this village name sleep as their most persistent difficulty. Jujube seeds contain saponins that work alongside the body's own calming mechanisms to restore the conditions in which descent becomes natural. 2 generations of healers in our family have prepared this tea for hollow-eyed patients who had come to believe that deep sleep was simply no longer available to them. Lightly roast 2 tablespoons of jujube seeds until they carry a faint, nutty scent. Then simmer them in 2 cups of water for 45 minutes. Drink 1 cup approximately 1 hour before you intend to sleep. Give it 14 nights before you make any judgment about it. Pair this with a brief walk outdoors before dark, which in our system helps the qi begin its natural evening descent and prepares the shen to settle. And now we arrive at number 1. My friend, I want you to stay with me here, because this is the preparation I have been building toward throughout this entire conversation. Number 1. Shenjiang, paired with renshen, fresh ginger root with mountain ginseng. This is what my grandfather called the foundation of all other healing, where the 4 teas we have discussed each address a specific organ or condition. This pairing works at the level of qi itself, the vital force that makes every organ capable of receiving treatment and every other remedy capable of reaching its full effect. The active compounds in renshen, the ginsenosides, support the body's central regulating system, the axis that coordinates energy, immunity, hormone balance, and the response to sustained demand. Picture the master conductor of a very large orchestra. After 60 or 70 years of sustained living, that conductor has been working without proper rest for a long time, and the entire orchestra begins to lose its coherence. Ginger root contains gingerols and sugarols that support healthy inflammatory signaling throughout the circulation, warming the channels through which the ginseng's restorative compounds can travel and creating an internal warmth that allows every other process the body is engaged in to proceed with less resistance. The old texts recorded this pairing in the Shennong Benzao Jing, and the healers who followed preserved it faithfully across 2,000 years of practice. The outside world has spent several decades now confirming what our lineage knew from a single generation of careful watching. William was 68 years old, a retired electrician from Savannah, Georgia, when he made his way to our village. He had carried fatigue for 10 years, so constant that he had stopped expecting anything to change. What had been overlooked was that his fundamental vitality had been depleted, not by any single condition, but by decades of sustained effort with insufficient recovery built into the years between. He began the morning ginseng ginger preparation and began tracking his own progress in a small notebook. After 1 month, he was walking 40% farther before needing to rest. By the 3rd month, he wrote to me and said, "Jian Chen, I feel like my own engine started again. I had forgotten I had won." Prepare it by simmering 2 thin slices of fresh ginger, alongside half a teaspoon of quality Korean or Chinese ginseng powder in 2 cups of water for 20 minutes. Take it each morning before eating. Give it 30 days before you make any evaluation. The garden does not bloom in a week. After 50 years of watching what truly holds in this mountain practice, here are the 3 principles I return to most. First, timing follows the body's own cycles. Liver tea in the late afternoon, hot tea in the mid-morning. The sleep preparation, 1 hour before rest. The ginseng ginger morning tea at first light, before the day has made any demand of you. These timings align with the organ clock our tradition has observed for centuries, governing when each system is most receptive to support. Second, quality determines everything. Half a teaspoon of carefully sourced ginseng will accomplish more than 2 teaspoons of old pale powder that has sat in a bag for 2 years. Spend more on quality and take a smaller, more considered amount. Third, consistency outweighs intensity. A single cup of the right preparation taken every morning for 60 days will do more than 3 cups taken on alternating weeks. The body responds to rhythm, not to urgency. 3 mistakes I see my patients make when they begin these teas. Mistake 1. They pour boiling water directly over their herbs and then cannot understand why the result feels flat. The most fragile and most active compounds in these plants are destroyed by full boiling temperature. Let the kettle rest for 2 minutes before steeping, and the water will carry far more of what the plant has to offer. Mistake 2. They begin for 3 days, notice nothing dramatic, and stop. The body does not rebuild in 3 days. It rebuilds across weeks and months. Commit to 30 days before you make any judgment. Mistake 3. They drink the tea and continue all the habits that created the imbalance in the first place. These preparations support the body's own healing capacity. They work alongside rest and movement and reduced burden. Asking 1 cup of tea to carry the full weight of decades is asking too much, even of the finest plants on the mountain. My friend, what you are doing when you prepare these teas is an act of genuine care toward the one body you have been given to live this entire life inside. The body that held your children, that carried you through grief and through joy. What you are protecting is your independence, your presence at the Sunday table, the ability to walk into the garden and know what is blooming there. It is never too late to begin this care. The body at 75, at 80, still responds, still rebuilds when the right conditions are given to it. You are the driver of this body and have been since the first morning of your life. Let me bring these 5 teas together for you. Number 5. Artemisia leaf tea, which addresses the gut terrain that makes parasitic overgrowth possible and supports the body's own clearing process. Number 4. Dan Shen red sage root tea, which encourages healthy blood movement and supports the heart's capacity to circulate freely through vessels that have narrowed with the years. Number 3. Chrysanthemum flower tea, which cools the liver, addresses the accumulated heat of sustained living, and supports the organ's ability to clear what the body has been holding. Number 2. Suanzhao Ren Jujube seed tea, which nourishes heart yin and restores the internal conditions in which deep, natural sleep becomes possible again. And number 1, fresh ginger paired with mountain ginseng, the foundation preparation that supports the qi underlying every system we have discussed today and allows every other practice you undertake to reach its full depth. If today's video was useful to you, please subscribe so I can bring this medicine to you each week. Share it with someone you love, a spouse, an oldest friend, a sibling who has been carrying something that has not yet been addressed. Leave a comment and tell me which of these 5 teas you will begin tomorrow morning. I read every single comment on this channel. For those of you who want to support the inner terrain that helps every one of these teas work more deeply, the BoochBod link is in the description below whenever you are ready. Until next time, my friend, care for the garden.